Volair is back with another wide-body paddle. With the success of their Mach 2 Forza, I understand why they are doubling down on what has worked for them in the past. But is this paddle worth the hype? But before we jump into my thoughts and specs on this paddle, it would be greatly appreciated if you could hit the subscribe button down below. These videos do take a lot of time and effort, and it helps support the growth of my channel. With that out of the way, let's jump in some specs. This is a wide-body paddle. It only comes in a 16mm option. The surface type is 100% Kevlar. Just like the name implies, this is definitely a control paddle. The swing weight of my paddle came in at 108, the twist weight came in at 7.18, and my 16mm Control 2 came in at a static weight of 8.1 ounces. The grip length is 5.5 inches, with the grip circumference coming in at 4.15 inches. This paddle has a poly honeycomb core, and lastly, the retail price of this paddle comes in at $199. The Control is a great paddle and it has amazing touch and feel, which should be expected as this is a control paddle, and Volair had already released one of the best-selling control paddles of this year. The spin felt great with my spin test coming back around 1,910 RPMs. I was able to shape the ball on my serves and drives with ease and great control. Dinking with this paddle is super easy. And the massive sweet spot helps greatly on resets and on counters. The pop of this paddle did surprise me and definitely was nice to see in hands battles at the kitchen line. Overall, I really don't have many complaints as the Control is a very solid paddle with good performance. If you have ever played with a Mach 2 Forza, then this paddle is going to seem very familiar. The newly released Control 2 is the definition of a control paddle. This is something that Volair has had a lot of success in over the past year with their previously released Mach 2 Forza. I will have to say I was a bit stumped by this release though, and it may just be because of the timing. The Kevlar face is nice to see, as I typically have liked Kevlar paddles in the past, but the hype train around Kevlar has sort of slowed down since titanium or polyester has been the new buzzword or surface type around the industry. Volair had likely already been testing this paddle out for a while and wanted to make sure that it was released, but from a consumer's perspective, it certainly seems like this paddle is late. Especially in 2024, when every other paddle manufacturer other than Selkirk has been focused on power. I just do not know if the $20 price increase of the Control 2 is justified for the performance over the original Mach 2 Forza. Both paddles have good spin, amazing control, and similar power, but one just has a newer surface type and design. I certainly appreciate what Volair was trying to do with this paddle. I like that it is a unique and tech vibe from the lines on the paddle, and they are certainly cool. I love how they added unique graphics, but did not overdo it. The biggest question I have is why in the world one of the options for this paddle is the color green. And I'm not saying that because I don't like the color green, but the light greenish yellow lines concern me, as people have complained about certain colors on paddles, making the ball harder to see, and it confuses me to see how this paddle color was approved. Now, luckily, there is also a blue option, which I think is super cool and slick, and it looks great. But yeah, I just don't see how someone who buys the green paddle may not run into complaints at their local courts. I think the Control 2 is a great paddle, but I do not think that it is an upgrade over the original Mach 2 Forza. These paddles are virtually the same, and I want to re-emphasize that these paddles are both great. I just do not see how I can recommend the new Control 2 over the original Mach 2 Forza when they perform virtually the same. Now, if you like the new green or blue design and that's a selling point to you, then go for it. Also, if you're a big fan of the plush feeling that Kevlar paddles often bring, then same thoughts there. I just can't figure out why this paddle came out when it did at the price it has. At the end of the day, Volair is still making great products, but I think this was a bit of a miss. And it also sort of targets themselves as their biggest competitor for which paddle you should buy in the Mach 2 Forza or the new Control 2. If you have played with a Volair paddle in the past or have purchased the new Control 2, I'd love to hear your experience down in the comments. Also, if you have any questions for me, I'd love to read those down below as well. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.